Hi everybody, it's time to make a snowman. This is one that I made last year, so he looks a little different than what we're going to do today, but I just wanted to give you an example and show you some of the things that you can do. There's a lot of accessories out there that you can buy if you just get creative. You can get pom-poms to use for the noses, buttons for the eyes. You can get animal eyes on Amazon. You can use just black pom-poms or black yarn if you don't feel like going out and buying a bunch of supplies. But Hobby Lobby has some really cute accessories that are, they go fast, so I would get on there now. These are the stick arms, Snowman stick arms, and I will try to post links if they're still available. But as you can see, they are the Christmas Crafts brand, and this just says Snowman arms on it. And then we have the famous corncob pipe. I love these. Here you go. Here's a close-up so you know what to search and what the brand is and all that. Again, these are all from Hobby Lobby. And the noses run out really fast. These are, they come in a 4-pack. Sorry, I should open it up so you can see. Everything here is like $1.25 a piece. They're dirt cheap on Hobby Lobby. So there's what the nose looks like. It's about 1 inch long. So as you can see on his face, that's about how it would look, but of course you would want it to be sticking out. So they're a little on the small size. You could make your snowman smaller if you want to use these. I'm going to try it anyways just to see what it looks like. You can take orange felt paper, cut out like a cone shape, and I hot glue everything on, and people use fabric glue and they say it sticks a lot better and longer. The eyes I sewed on with thread. And then I got tired of sewing when I got down here, and I just glued these on. To make this kind of scarf that I did, the striped one, I just took a long strand of red chunky yarn and a long strand of white and held them side by side and made a cast off chain. And it made this cute little scarf, and then just tied a knot in the bottom. And for the hat, you want to go to my YouTube list and type in Christmas hat, or just look for the Christmas hat, or I'm sorry, chunky knit hat tutorial, because I did 4 types on that tutorial. I did these pom-pom beanies and a couple other different kind. So it will show you how to make a Santa hat. And for him, what I did, because I didn't want I had to have this about 14 stitches wide to fit on his head. But this looked really bad when it was that big and bulky. So I cast it on 8, because you start at the top from a hat. And then when I got about 8 rows down, I started using increased stitches and made it bigger to where it got to about 14, and then I cast it off. So I actually made this an angle, which you don't typically do for a hat that you're going to wear. And then I used a pom-pom maker and got some red thin, traditional yarn and white, and layered it through there and trimmed it up and fluffed it out with a brush and made his pom-pom. So let's get started. Oh, one more thing that Hobby Lobby has is the snowman hats. And here is the sticker for that, or the tag. It's just called a top hat. And as you can see, these were $2.99, but Hobby Lobby, everything's always on sale, 30 to 50% off. So I don't think I paid that much. I couldn't find them in my store. I had to go to their website and order them. But shipping wasn't bad either. Okay. So for yarn, of course, we're going to use my white snow yarn that I have available in my Amazon store, and it's going to be on sale, really good price for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and I always have at least a 10% off coupon going on. If you want more ideas on how to make your snowman, to decorate them differently, come to one of my Facebook groups, especially Chunky Yarn Blanketeers. My friend Jane in there does the best snowman ever. She did a country one with that corncob pipe and straw hats that is just to die for. So there's a lot of ideas of, to accessorize them. But I'm going to teach you just the basic to get the snowman started, and then you can decorate them yourself. All right. This is only going to take probably 3/4 of a skein of yarn of mine, because as you can see, they're big and fluffy, and they are usually about 32 yards per skein. And you just need white and then whatever color you want to do for your hats and scarves. Oh, you can buy, sorry, one more. I think I showed this in my last tutorial, but you can go to the dollar store and they have red scarves too. These actually have jingle bells in the bottom of them. They're really cute. Sometimes they work, but sometimes they don't. So these are really cute for the snowman too. All right, enough with that. All right, for this is a simple pattern. We're going to cast on 14 and then we're going to knit 12 for the bottom ball. You need, you know, about probably 8 to 10 inch I'm so sorry. Leave 8 to 10 inches on the end for closing up the bottom of it. I've been doing a lot of tutorials lately and I'm getting my patterns and words mixed up here. All right, so we're going to cast on 14. Leave that tail. These do not need to be big stitches because, again, this is not a blanket. You actually want them kind of small. Get your red fuzzies off. I actually fluffed this yarn with a whisk too. It made it even bigger and fluffier, which is something you really want to do when you're doing a plushie because you don't want your polyfill to show through. So fluffy yarn and small stitches. But luckily polyfill is white and Snowman is white, so you really can't tell anyways. I made a bat for Halloween and it was so hard to not get polyfill to show through. I had to take him apart a couple times and keep re-knitting him. Alright, you can do these snowmen with 2 balls or 3 balls. For some reason, the 2 balls are just the most popular, even though when you make a snowman, you traditionally do 3 outside, you know, like a real snowman, but we do these as 2 so they're not so big, and I think because they would fall over too. Very similar to the pumpkin tower tutorial. If you've done that, it's almost the same identical pattern. Alright, let's see if we've got 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And you actually don't have to do 14. You can do 10 if you want to make them smaller. You can do 18 if you want a big giant snowman. Just make each ball a different size. Alright, so 14 is not wanting to lay flat for me today. And then, just like any plushie, you need to make it into a circle. Flip it around like it's going to be a headband. I like to pull my yarn through here sometimes to hold it together, but you can clip it together. So I pull my tail through the last stitch on the end. And then even after that, and then I also pull that stitch up into the air like that so that I can use it. And then I use my fancy hair clips because I never have the proper knitting clips. Markers. Okay, leave your tail out here so that you don't accidentally use it to knit. Skip that one that you have pulling up and knit through the top of every stitch on here. And make sure you have your 14 when you're done. It's not going to ruin the pattern if you miss one and make it 13. He'll just be a tiny bit smaller. So, make sure they're small and close together. Okay, I make mine about 1 inch. If you're a tight knitter, you're not going to have a problem when you make your blankets. If you knit tight, it's going to be pretty easy for you to pick up on plushies. And I'm going to say that this is going to be the level of easy. I don't think this is actually a hard tutorial. Looks a little intimidating because of all the decorations, but the basics are just about the same as my cow tutorial. Just 2 balls. Might even be easier. You let me know what you think. If you've done the cow tutorial after you make a snowman. These are great sellers at craft fairs too. And right now for Christmas decorations, put them on Facebook Marketplace, your local Facebook groups. The first year I started making these, I must have sold 50 of them. Price them for your area. check and see what everybody else is selling similar items for. Nobody has snowmen, you're going to sell a lot. Okay, all right, just had to unwind some more. All right, let's see where we're at here. Couple more. Alrighty, that was my first row. As you can see, looks like a crown. Knitted through the top. Now we're going to go knit our second row all the way around. Pulling loops through the top. Tried a little bit of a different angle. I just cannot seem to find the perfect camera mount. I think I've had 6 of them already. I have the ones that clip on the table next to me right here. I'm constantly trying to find the best way to shoot over the shoulder for you guys. And every time I get one that clamps to the table, it doesn't go up high enough and I can't fit the plushie in the screen. So this one's actually standing on my table across from me, and then when I edit, I flip it so that you guys are on the same side as me when you're knitting. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, I'm going to unwind a whole bunch of yarn here. If you're knitting at a table like this, I would just unwind all your yarn so you don't have to keep stopping and doing this. If you're knitting on the couch or something, just put a basket on the floor, set your big ball of yarn in it, and you don't have to worry about it zooming around, rolling off the table, any of that good stuff. Okay, we're getting there. I like having the stitch marker there because it also lets me know that I'm done with my row too. Alright, we're on row 2. Okay, if you want, you can just fold this in half like this. I've seen a lot of people do it that way. And then knit through. We're going to knit, I think 12 rows will be good. We want them to be wider. So if you cast on 14 and you knit 14 high, then he's just not going to be like a oval shaped like a snowman is. So and you could fold it in half again and keep going if you want. I should have zoomed in a little bit. Through the top of your stitches. This is about how big each stitch is. 1 inch, if that. As long as you get them tight together, this part, that's the most important part because that's where the polyfill usually pops out, is in between your rows. Okay. Just keep going around in circles. We're on the next row. Again, if you want to know how to count your rows, you just stick your finger in the hole. 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't count that last one there because that's your cast on. Okay, I'm going to pause this and I'm just going to knit all the way up 14 rows and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I knitted 12 rows, nice and tight and even. And now we're going to close up the bottom. So flip this around, find your tail, and remove your clip if you have it there. You're going to take your tail, just like on any other plushie, and go through from the inside out or outside in, whatever you prefer, to close it up. So take this and find the top of the stitch next to it, which would be your first stitch, and pull through. Okay, and then just tighten it a little bit and go to your next stitch. Pull this up, take your yarn. I'm going to go from the outside in this time, just for kicks. And then outside in. I think if you go inside out, it pulls out your first stitch, is why most knitters do it this way. Okay. If you've got a good yarn, you don't need to cinch as you go. Like, my yarn is pretty soft and silky because it's a true chenille yarn. So I don't really have to cinch too much as I'm doing this, but if you're using a thicker, stiffer yarn, every 2 stitches you want to do this and tighten it up. If not, it won't close up all the way for you. But I've kind of gotten into the habit of doing that, so I use just cinch as I go to be safe, even though I only use my own yarn now anyways. But some colors are just stiffer than others because they have more dye in them. White is going to be your softest, and of course, black yarn, dark brown, navy, they're going to be stiffer, even if it's a good brand. Outside in, make sure you don't miss a stitch or you'll have a bulge there. And you should count them as you go, just to make sure you get all 15. And if your hole doesn't close up all the way, you can try just going back through and knitting through the top of the stitch again. But as you can see, good yarn will be slippery, so it'll do it. And I'm at my last stitch now. Just pull up the top of it, outside in. And outside in actually gives you better closure too. Alright. And then I think I can squeeze in one more here. You don't want your polyfill popping out, so you want to make sure that you get that closed up there. Your cast on stitch, like, it won't cinch because of just the way it's made. Okay, so I got just a tiny little hole there, but when I close up this, when I make my knot, it's going to fill it in anyways. Okay, you can also go undo it and go back through if it doesn't close up good for you. So I tie it from here, from the outside. Most people do it from the inside, but I like to have that little bulge right there so that it will fill in this hole. And it's easier than trying to wrestle with it from the inside. So now just pull it through, pop it closed, and you've got that little stopper, I call it. Now you can flip it over and go on the inside. Try not to pull out your stitches like I just did. And find that piece, that string. And you find them, it's white. There it is. The one that you just pulled through. And just kind of weave it through some stitches inside so that it stays put. And then you can just leave the remainder in there, as stuffing. Okay, so now I'm going to add some of my stuffing before I close up the top, because basically we're making a ball. And then we're going to add another ball on top of it. So you're going to be closing up 2 or 3 times on this pattern. Alright, I like to fluff up my polyfill so I don't have to use as much. Just kind of shred it as you go. Shove it in the corners. Put some in so it stands up. Spread it out. Push it down in there. Shape your ball. On the bottom. These do take quite a bit of polyfill because there's, you know, the two balls. And they're kind of wide. You want it to be a little bit like the ball should be wider than it is tall. Just so it'll look more like a snowman. So I've got most of my polyfill in. I'm gonna go ahead and close it up, and because I can shape it better. So now you want to cut your yarn. Leave enough. Like, go through and make sure you didn't pull out any stitches. Just grab them and pull up on them. Here, that one almost came out. Tighten them back up again because all that stuffing kind of can pull out your top row. You don't want that. Okay, so I measure it enough to go around about once, because I don't like to waste yarn. And then cut it, and you're free of that one for now. Okay, and then here I go from inside out. It's kind of the reverse of the bottom. And try, you know, I cinch just a little bit as I go. If you go all the way around or halfway around and you start cinching, it's going to make it kind of crooked. It's actually really fun to just cinch it all at once when it's all through. Just grab that string and pull, and it just brings it all right together evenly in the middle. But I'm not done stuffing it. I need this top to be closed up a little bit for me so I can get a better shape. So again, just grab your stitch, take your yarn, go from the inside out, pull a little bit, inside out, inside out. The nice thing about this pattern is you don't have to worry too much about whether you get it completely closed up at the top, because you're going to stack another ball on top of it. Almost done. Inside out, inside out. See, I only made it big enough to go around the circumference once, and I still have all this left over. I've seen a lot of people say they cut it big enough to go around twice, and it's just a waste of yarn. You don't need that much. All right, so now you want to shape it. Okay, don't overstuff it or your stitches will start spreading like that, and your polyfill will stick out. So there you go. And very important to knit tight when you're doing plushies. And I think it feels actually pretty good. Make sure your bottom is nice and flat so that it'll stand up. You can shape it more afterwards too. You can also purl stitch these. Again, that one that I showed you, he was purled. See the difference in the stitch? He's purl stitched and he's knit stitched. And purl stitch is just the inside of a knit stitch. So instead of pulling your stitches through, you push them through the front. You just do the reverse. Or you can knit stitch it up like this, and before you stuff it, flip the whole thing inside out, and then it's purled. Alright, I'm going to add a little more as I go here. So just grab that string and pull. Okay. And then see if you need any more polyfill at the top. You need this top to be kind of firm because of the next step here. Okay. And then I go through my last stitch, even though I already went through it with this from the beginning. This was actually the first stitch. I go through it again one more time because it's kind of sticking out, and then it closes it up nice. Okay, so you can pull this all the way shut if you want, but you really don't have to, because we're going to be stacking another ball on top of it. All right, so I'm happy with his shape. He turned out really good. Again, this was cast on 14 and knit 12. So now we're going to make our second ball. I'm actually going to do this one more time just to secure it. Okay, because I'm not pulling it all the way shut. You can take this, tie a knot here. I highly recommend doing this so that it doesn't start to loosen up on you. And just shove all that down in there. It'll be stuffing. Okay, so again, don't worry if you get, even if you have a hole that big here, it's going to be fine because we're going to be adding a top ball. All right, so what I do now is I start pulling up stitches around in a circle to make this, add on the second ball. And you want to do it about 3 stitches smaller than your original one. So we cast it on 14 for this one. So I'm going to pull up, let's go 11 stitches for my top ball. And then knit probably about 9 rows up. So we're going to cast up, pull up, I'm sorry, 11, and then knit 9. Sorry, I had this written down next to me. I just couldn't decide how big I wanted to make this one. And I wanted him to be about the same size as last year, so I counted what I did. And if you can't squeeze in 11 right here, don't worry. You can always do increase stitches. So what you're going to do is go in between. This is the top of your ball. Okay, fine. Imagine your circle here, and you know there's strands of yarn going through each one. You don't want to come out too far right here because then he'll end up being the same size as the bottom ball. So get in as kind of close as you can here and just find your string that you can pull up. Okay, and it's the string that goes through. And then I have a little bit of yarn left on this skein here. So this does actually, I can't remember if I told you how much it takes in the beginning. And I believe this takes 2 skeins. Alright, so I grab here and push some yarn through. Again, take a strand, alright, grab through right here, the one that's going sideways. Push the yarn through from the inside out. Okay, this is a lot like what I was doing for the Christmas tree, the outside of it that I just did. Alright, so let's try to squeeze in 11 stitches, and if we can't, we're not going to worry about it because it'll actually even look better to increase it as we go up just a little bit because it'll make his neck smaller. Alright, so try to get into the next one. So if you cast it on 14, you actually have 28 spots here, so you can kind of count each one and put a stitch marker there if you want so that you get your perfect circle. Like, you know, put them right in here, something colored, so you know exactly where you want to pull up each stitch. And if I don't get it right the first time, I just kind of, you know, I pull it back out until I'm satisfied. Ugh. Can be kind of hard to get in there sometimes. So come from the back if you need to. Again, this is really almost identical to my pumpkin tower tutorial. So you might want to like skip every other one because you're pulling in between the rows here. And if you pull up every one, you're going to have 28 of them. Now, I don't think you could fit that many, but you know, if you were persistent, you could. So as you can see here, that yarn popped back out. I shoved it back in there. This was the first one that I did. Should tie a knot right here so that this doesn't come back out, but I left it too short, so I'm going to shove it in there. It should be alright. Okay, so I've just got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll show you what they look like from the side because it's kind of hard to tell with white yarn. 4. 5. So I'm about halfway around and I need 11 and I've got 5, so I should be good. 6. 7. And so I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I only need 11. It says, like you can see, I still got an awful lot of space left, so I'm going to back out 2 of them and just spread them out a little more. Skip a hole. sure. You want to look at the top as you're doing it. It can be really hard to find your line there to pull up. But just so you're making sure that you got a pretty good circle. You want to look at it as you're doing it. You might end up pulling up one down here. There it is. All right. That one was hiding on me. It's because when you cinch it up at the top. I usually have to do this a couple times to get it lined up right. Take them out and put them back in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I think I can do the 3 more over here. You don't want a big gap in between them. Good thing I got my fake nails put back on. It's making us a lot easier. I always say that. 10. Oh, goodness. This one's fighting me. And the polyfill is kind of pulling out with it. Alright, one more. We should have 11. If you accidentally pull up an extra stitch, just don't stuff the head a whole lot, you know. Alright, let's make sure I've got 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Alrighty. So I pulled up 11. As you can see, they're just a little bit in farther than the outside of this. Alright, now we're going to knit through all of these. And I'm going to knit through 9 rows so that it's smaller than the bottom. Make sure that you're pulling from the inside out or you'll be purling, and you don't want a purled top and a knitted bottom, really. Unless that's the look you're looking for, that's fine. And just kind of pull these in as you go so that they're not stretching out too far for you. So yeah, I'm just putting them together and knitting through. I'll do a few rows and then I'll pause it and come back. I'll just show you what it looks like after you get about 3 rows in. Unwind the rest of my yarn. Nice thing about these is you save your snowman each year, and next year you can just take off his hat and scarf and stuff and redo him. Make him a different looking character. Glasses look really cute on them. Look for old Christmas decorations at resale shops and stuff, and old Santas or whatever, and borrow some of their accessories. Alright, so I'm on my 3rd already. This one goes a lot faster. 3rd. We just got to go to 9. If you haven't seen it yet, I just did a wonderful tutorial on how to do a chunky knit Christmas tree. It's my own pattern that I just created. Never seen one like it before. Can't say for 100% that it doesn't exist, but I didn't see one on YouTube, so. Alright. We're on row 3 here. We just got to get to 9. Now I can turn it sideways and do it. And if you find that it's too big, you can come back down and decrease too. And decreasing is just putting one stitch over top of another and knitting through it. Increasing is knitting, adding another stitch in between the two. Like grabbing it right here, pushing it through, pull it up. Now I've got an extra stitch. Okay. I don't recommend doing that unless you're gonna keep it there, because now that stretched it out a tiny bit there for me. Okay, so just keep knitting around in a circle. And I'll be right back to show you how to do the rest, which is basically how we did this. We're just going to close up the top of it and then decorate them. well, we're going to stuff him first. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm back. I went ahead and knitted up 9 rows from the neck up to the top. And now we're going to put some stuffing in it and then close up the top. And that's pretty much the end of it, other than decorating and accessorizing it yourself. And I explained all that in the beginning. You could sew hot glue or get fabric glue, and again, come to the groups and you'll see lots of great ideas that people have done with their snowmen, especially after this tutorial releases. You're going to be able to see some great stuff going. Alright, so let's see if I can get this on camera. Same thing we did before. Grab your working yarn or your tail here and go from the inside out all the way around. It's a little more awkward when it's this big and stuffed already. You can lay it on its side or stand it up on your lap. Side out. Inside out. Pull a little bit as you go, but not too much. You want to be able to shape it still and add more polyfill. This actually only took a little bit out of my second skein, so I'm going to say 1.5 skeins at the most. Unless you add a third ball, and if you do, just reduce everything by about 2 or 3 stitches. Probably 3, because the top ball should be pretty small. Okay, so I've gotten through them all. I'm gonna see if I stand him up, you won't be able to see, even with this big thing. Alright, so if I close that up right now, this is how he's gonna look. And I'm gonna flatten it a little bit. I'm gonna start closing it and see. You just gotta keep, you know, kind of adjusting it. Get the shape that you want. Definitely need more polyfill. Snowman are supposed to be round and jolly, right? You can also pull it back out. Just kind of grab the loops and pull out a little bit. If you're like me and I just closed it up too small and I can't get my hand in there now. You can also add less or just a little bit of polyfill at a time. Flip it around, get him nice and round. Getting it shaped right. I put my yarn scraps in there too. Getting it shaped right is kind of the hardest part, but just gotta take your time with it. Again, don't stretch it out too much. And don't overstuff it. Get him like that. Squeeze his neck in a little bit so it looks better. Push that down. Alright, let's pull it tight. And there, now he's more shaped like a snowman, or kind of like a peanut, if you want to call him that. Then once you put the scarf around there, it'll look really cute too. So I've closed up the top, and then again, tie a knot right there, and then stuff the string down inside. The string I cut too much, so I'm gonna, yeah, see, it's way too long. I don't want to waste that, so I'm gonna go like that. And if you knit a hat for him like I did on this one, I actually tacked it down right there with string so that it won't fall off. You could leave this on and kind of pull it through your hat too. Alright, let's get that down inside there. Decorate it. And again, if you don't get this closed up all the way on the top, you're going to put a hat on him, so don't be too hard on yourself on that part either. Just the bottom is the most important, so polyfill don't leak out. Alright, there's our snowman body, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. I'm going to decorate him, and then that way I'll have a picture of what he looks like when he's all done. I'm hoping the Hobby Lobby hat fits really good, just so you know, with this pattern. And all right, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm gonna think of some more things to do. Let me know in the comments if there's something you want for a Christmas tutorial. Sorry, it's been a long day. And like, subscribe, comment, come to the group. Definitely, you'll get coaching there from me and from the other experienced ladies. And go to my Amazon store, support me, and buy some beautiful chunky chenille yarn. I've got a 5-star rating still, and a lot more reviews posted with pictures and all that. And I'm even going to be adding a collage of things that members have made with my yarn from my group, and I'm going to add it to my Amazon listing. So have a nice day. Thank you.